begins in 3, 2, 1.
Starting out with
we have started
RAISY here.
Yeah. I just need to check because I'm not quite sure which player's perspective we're on up until the stream catches up.
The stream is watching ZenAku right now. As he is, oh no! Going for the gauntlet, not gonna land it. Second rail is going to come in, and RAISY is going to take that lead 1-0. Starting off with that advantage position.
Indeed, RAISY getting that quick first frag on the board, but he is weak, little tender around the edges right now, and ZenAku is looking for an opportunity to tie things up. Catch the side of RAISY, he's going for the rail battle. Nice little quick fadeaway shot. He knew he couldn't stick around for a long battle, knowing that he had the larger hitbox of the two. Can't afford to take those fights because he's going to lose, and oh! ZenAku, such an opportunity right there, but he forgot to check his corners, came dashing into the room, and then just left the same way he came from, and that allows RAISY to escape the clutches of death. Now ZenAku does have a massive stack advantage, but RAISY proving to be slippery already.
Yep, ZenAku maintaining this, very heavy control. He's been running the items ever since the start of the map when he did give away that frag, and he's kind of still hunting RAISY. RAISY has gotten back up to that 100 stack, but, dropping that is not going to be what you're going to want to do, especially given that RAISY's still up top. He's trying to figure out, what's the best way to deal damage, what's the best way to close that gap. That scale bear able to dump, extreme amounts of damage at super close range, and, that's really what he kind of wants to fish for, but closing that distance against RAISY, who does have the orb up, is going to be a pretty big challenge for him, even though it's only one kill. We can see Sarnath be super slow a lot of the time, and RAISY is going to be falling away, one unreturned rail.
Good damage coming out of, that rocket, and now orbing to escape the bull rush. That's an excellent play, but ZenAku's rockets are even better, pinning his opponent up against the wall and tying it right back up. And he did so at a very opportune time as well, as he was able to secure the heavy just moments later. Now still 5 seconds to go before Mega. He can't just sit and wait on it, and that means that RAISY can push his way back in and prevent his opponent from establishing full control after getting that crucial frag to bring it to a 1-1 game.
Yep, ZenAku definitely in the favorite position here, underground, as of course, as I say that, RAISY drops on it, but he does have the charge up and doesn't need it. The LG's going to turn around, RAISY's going to go for that orb damage, and he's just going to be shy with that push in right there. Maybe misreading the spawn, not sure exactly what. We're going to head over to RAISY's POV. You can kind of check out that. And able to secure that Mega. Not a lot of weaponry, but, when Skill Bear has 10 health, it doesn't really matter.
Indeed, it does not. Some quick frags being exchanged in that past minute. This is a very high-octane game. Both players not looking to give up any ground, fighting pretty much for every single opportunity they can muster. That is a beautiful rail from RAISY that is effectively going to prevent ZenAku from pushing in and taking a fight for this major item. And now the myztro player might be able to make something out of this. That's a good rocket as well. Nice combo into the rail. ZenAku once more cannot stick around. You can tell that the Australian is trying consistently to show up around the item. RAISY's damage output has been so solid when it matters the most, and that makes it so that ZenAku really can't wait for the item to spawn.
It's also important to note that ZenAku still doesn't have the rocket, and that ult from RAISY putting himself on the Mega is going to do that same thing again, deny ZenAku, force him to play a super long range basically rail fight, but his hitbox is so much bigger. That's kind of the problem that you're seeing, and because RAISY, even though playing a medium champion, is outstacking ZenAku due to really major items, Zen's kind of just forced to try and basically hope that he can grab both of the light armors without taking a rail. The giant scale bear hitbox, something like that you just see there, that's really not what you want to go for, with when a rail like that comes in.
And this is a bit of a crucial moment for ZenAku, because RAISY has managed to establish solid control, is chaining together these items one after the other, and is also out-damaging his opponent, and that gap of damage has been widening a fair bit. RAISY now doing around 500 damage more so than his opponent, so this is really an important time for ZenAku to try and break that, because we know how RAISY can work with that momentum, Now, luckily for ZenAku, he's got an excellent champion to try and counter that. He's got a lot of stack to work with and an ability with both offensive and defensive applications. Nice little juke. ZenAku, can he get away? Indeed he can. He's actually set up for Mega quite nicely, but once more, he should not stick around.
Yep.
But look at what RAISY's doing. That's
my
so
God.
smart. Not even going for the Mega at all, instead just looking for the punish. This might actually benefit ZenAku.
He's forced to use his charge to try to escape and is running around with that sub 90 health, which isn't what you want to do, but RAISY hears the nails and knows he can't just push through the portal, so he's going to take the opportunity to swing around, finally secure himself an armor on just basically the next cycle. And, you know, now really has to figure out, yeah, he picked up a Mega, but RAISY heard it, RAISY knows what it is, and RAISY still has control of everything. So, while in theory, yes, ZenAku does have control, ZenAku did have that Mega and might have something off it, he really doesn't have any control off of it, which, you know, as exemplified by RAISY picking up yet another Mega, the item's, you know, sorely out of favor with actually more pickups to Zen because he's picking up all the lights, but, you know, gonna...
ZenAku did a really good job at evading RAISY for as long as he could, but ultimately the net just kept tightening around him. And the Hungarian player does find a frag, and now he's even got himself a lead to work with. ZenAku really banking on that railgun to keep RAISY at bay. Out comes the bull rush. That could have been huge if it had connected, but unfortunately he misses RAISY by an inch.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
And that gives the myztro man an opportunity to get away, but now ZenAku, look at that stack advantage. RAISY should fall sooner rather than later. Weighing his options, looking for a way out, and it does seem like ZenAku is going to catch a sight of him, but he slips through the cracks. And with 1 point of health, RAISY is relegated to the outskirts of the map, but ZenAku is not going to allow him to catch his breath and will make this a one-frag game. He should be able to tie it up. Nope. The rail doesn't quite connect, but luckily for him, he still has 2.5 more minutes to work with, so everything's still on the table.
Yeah, Zen finally in a position to tie it up. Super great play from him to get it this far, but the question is now, will he be able to hold on? You know, he had a little bit of a lead kind of earlier on in the game, but that was quickly turned around by RAISY and forced into basically 6 minutes of trying to cycle items. And, you know, that's a bit of a mess here and there, but he is going to be missing 2 rails, sadly, and as a result, giving RAISY the heavy. Not something he wants to do, probably, but we will have to exactly how that turns out for him, because, you know, a lot of things could happen. It's a super open game. Both players could stand to take this. Control's very split.
This is an important Mega. Both players want a piece of this. ZenAku knows he won't be the one to pick it up now. He just wants to do as much exit damage as he possibly can. Catches RAISY with a nice burst of LG. That might be enough to buy him heavy, but RAISY isn't going to relent just yet, looking for those angles, actually going to push in. This is dangerous, a risky play. The bull rush pins his opponent up, but it will be RAISY who somehow survives, clinging to 36 points of health. And now with 1 minute, 30 seconds to go, this is starting to look a little bit tricky. Can ZenAku still find his opponent? Knowing RAISY, I think he's now going to switch to a full defensive playstyle. But of course, that bull rush is so fast, and if RAISY doesn't have his orb at the ready to evade it, he can be in big trouble.
Yeah, the question here really comes from whether ZenAku can kind of do to RAISY what had been done to him for the previous part of the map and kind of keep him, you know, away from most of the items. But he is going to be able to get that kill, which is super important. Does need 1 more to take the lead, and looks like he might actually catch RAISY out here on the portal or LG. RAISY able to make it over to the item, the light armor, and get away with a rail, which is really great from him.
It's looking really good for ZenAku right now. He's just got to be careful not to sacrifice too much of his stack to those rails, because that's a weapon that RAISY has really been making the most out of. 1,700 points of damage with the railgun alone, followed closely, or not so closely rather, by 600 points with the LG. So RAISY is really taking advantage of the fact that his opponent has got a much larger hitbox, making it easier for him to land those rails. Currently sitting at 52% railgun accuracy, 45% LG, and it's really that damage output that has helped RAISY so much throughout this game.
We are headed into map 1 overtime here. Might be very short as RAISY is kind of going in on this mega here, but we are formally in overtime. Next kill wins the golden goal setup, or, you know, golden frag as some might say. Is 83 damage is going to come out onto RAISY. Not something you want to take, especially so early into overtime when you cannot even give up one frag without, you know, losing the whole map.
One of the things to really pay attention to now is just the ability usage. Neither player wants to pop their ability first because they know that that is going to put them at a huge disadvantage. Now RAISY just brazenly pushing in for the Mega. ZenAku doesn't connect! Oh! He clipped the wall just before connecting with RAISY. If he actually had hit that bull rush, I think ZenAku was poised to take the map right there, but he falls just short, and RAISY making good use of his ability at the last second. Just as I mentioned, right? Neither player wants to use their ability first. They're just kind of waiting for an opportunity to see what their opponent does, hoping to bait out the other player's ability so they can respond in kind. And ultimately, it was RAISY who got the best of ZenAku. Now, of course, this is a best-of-3 series, so one map loss isn't yet the end of the world, as ZenAku still has plenty of opportunity to make it back into this and actually secure the win. Now, if I'm not mistaken, map 2 is going to be Corrupted Keep. Yep. And I think that the champion picks are going to be Keel by ZenAku versus the BJ by RAISY.
Yep, that is accurate. Those are the characters we are going to see for the second map. Honestly, given how close that first one is, and both of these characters play super heavy on burst, and, you know, both of them play super heavy and are super, you know, can pump out loads of damage. So really what I mean more by that. And kind of as a result, especially in regards to Corrupted Keep at large, you know, with the corners and a lot of that kind of stuff, it's super dicey, and, you know, we can definitely see quite a few frags come through if one player gets a clean frag. You know, we could see a lot happen very, very quickly, you know, especially with the way that spawns can spiral out of control and how tight the cycle can be. So I think that this map is going to be very, very entertaining, especially given how close the last map is. But, you know, I still got to hold out for ZenAku. I got to stand by my original prediction and really hope that that's what ends up coming through.
I'm a bit worried for ZenAku, seeing just how much damage RAISY managed to punish that scale bearer with on map 1. Now he's playing Keel, ZenAku this time around, and that is once again another big body champion, making it an easy target for RAISY to hit. Now if you add on to that BJ dual wield ability, double DLG, double the super shoddy, that can really hurt and melt his opponent's stack. So ZenAku is going to struggle in these mid-range engagements where he's almost definitely going to be out-damaged by RAISY. He is going to want to pick fights at close range, trying to maybe set up a few traps, use his grenades wisely in combination with some rockets of his own. I think that that is going to be the game plan for him if he wants to counter RAISY. Avoid those mid-damage fights and just make it close and personal, because that is where Keel thrives the most.
Yep, both of these players are going to have a super fun job playing around. These choke points are going to be super dangerous for both players. And they're going to have to be super careful the way they move around the map and, you know, try to not take unnecessary damage. But starting out on RAISY here, he is going to get that Mega and the LG. ZenAku with the Heavy, and both players are kind of stabilizing on the map.
Pretty reserved start, but that rocket nearly sending RAISY over the edge. Rockets raining down from above once more. Can he find the frag? Indeed, ZenAku can, getting himself a 1-0 lead already. Now RAISY will immediately make a trail for the Heavy, rushing towards Mega as well. The only weapon he's got to work with is the shotgun. He can't stick around to take this fight. This might be a bit of a misplay for the myztro, man. Can the Tribolt punish his opponent enough? Surely not. Oh my god. That feels like a misplay. ZenAku should have applied so much more pressure when RAISY was down on the heavy machine gun. By allowing his opponent to leave the room, he opened himself up for that long distance damage where we know that he can't take the fight with RAISY. So that could have been better for ZenAku. He absolutely had an opportunity to get yet another frag on the board.
Yeah, super strong play from both players too so far this map. RAISY going down, not sure if that's the best decision, especially against those rockets and nades. ZenAku, however, doesn't have a lot of stack himself and is going to be forced to back off, kind of waiting on this armor. Is going to be able to grab it, but still not a lot of health, and both items are still very close to each other. ZenAku probably going to choose to back off and just take this mega. Or not.
This might be the start of something bad for ZenAku. 10 seconds between the items. RAISY had both heavy and now mega as well, but he gets caught in a bad place. Yep, indeed. Finally, ZenAku makes it work. That's the third time so far that he took a fight against RAISY. First time out on this or so, but he's got to be careful. Won't be able to make it out alive, and now RAISY has got a monstrous stack to work with. Mega not up for another 5 seconds. Surely ZenAku will drop down again, and this is where that infamous corrupted keep snowball can really start rolling down the hill, right? RAISY now has got the stack advantage, he's got the timing, he's got the weapons. If he takes down ZenAku now, this could be devastating for the Australian player.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. ZenAku's kind of in that position where he can turn it around super quickly, but that either requires a misplay from RAISY or something really, really special from him. And given the way he's fumbled those weapons, I'm not really sure we're going to see it as, you know, RAISY every kill extending that lead and making it harder and harder for, you know, ZenAku to turn it around in one burst, which is kind of really what you want to look for on Corrupted Keep, to, you know, flip that control firmly so that you can, you know, get as much done as possible. And that actually is going to be one kill. He has a lot of stack left, and with the heavy up, this might be, you know, exactly what he needed.
Oh, that's a beautiful rocket. I was watching from RAISY's point of view, and he just absolutely sent that one. Didn't even aim at the ground. He aimed like a meter or two up in the air, knowing that ZenAku would come jumping through that portal, and he nailed him in the face. That 100 points of damage are definitely going to help him out now as he makes a push on the heavy. Gets 93 as well because ZenAku is caught with his hands down, looking the wrong way. Now RAISY, he is building his momentum. He is accelerating the pace of the game, knowing that he can take that fight with the mega behind him still. And that is a luxury that ZenAku wasn't afforded. And that allows RAISY to extend his lead. Out comes the Duel LG. The damage is blistering. And that will secure him yet another frag. Now, I don't think he's in a position where he can rush for the heavy. He is going to have to give that up to his opponent, and that might be what ZenAku needs to stabilize. But the problem is that he doesn't have weapons. He doesn't have rockets, doesn't have LG, and that is so tricky. He's way too early for Mega as well. These are costly misplays by the Australian Direwolves player, and RAISY is capitalizing off of them so nicely.
Yeah, these really aren't the mistakes you can be making against a player like RAISY. It's really not something you want to do, you know? And especially given, you know, kind of the way he's playing around his weapon choices, he's kind of peeking that without the heavy machine gun, just with the light machine gun. At a super long range, like little things like that I don't really feel like, you know, you need to be doing, especially when you're at such a deficit. You know, you need to take it slower and try to, you know, make sure you can get all of the tools you need to, you know, convert to that frag and not just take accidental extra damage, but, you know, also still, because it is Corrupted Keep, it can be so hard to do that. And with, you know, 5 minutes left can be a lot of time on some maps, but honestly, in this map, it can disappear very quickly.
Indeed, it can. Corrupted Keep, known as RAISY's Keep, at least at one point in time it was, is one of those snowball heavy maps where momentum and the balance can shift instantly, and the tides of war can absolutely flip in your opponent's advantage at any time. So ZenAku isn't out of it just yet, but 4.5 minutes for 7 frags against the player as defensively gifted as RAISY. That is a tall order for even the best in the world. And look at that heavy machine gun damage. RAISY is making it rain. My goodness, 43% on the heavy machine gun, 42 with the LG. Massively out-damaging ZenAku.
Cats in the bag.
RAISY's at 4k damage. ZenAku at the pineapples, the grenades just really haven't been able to make up for that difference in hitbox and size of the opponent. And RAISY has just been making such good use out of it. And now ZenAku, he has to blindly rush in, he has to push for it, make something happen, force an advantage, but RAISY kind of juking him and outplaying him around that statue works out nicely in his favor.
Especially because this is your series point too. And if you're ZenAku, you know, you did lose your map pick, and you know,
Right.
playing somebody on their map pick and them having a lead of just shy of 10 frags is really not something you want to do. Beautiful rocket jump is going to get RAISY really low, but you know, that conversion has been shown super challenging for ZenAku so far on this map. He can get RAISY low, but RAISY will just deal so much damage to him that he's forced to back off, and he doesn't really have time to do that. Wonderful rail going to come in from, not rail, wonderful rocket is going to come through from ZenAku, making that lead 8 frags, but that's still a tall order against somebody like RAISY.
RAISY has really been playing much of this map to absolute perfection. You can really see why it was called RAISY's Keep at one point. Just the way that he outpositions his opponent so consistently and how he makes excellent use of the heavy machine gun. He almost never leaves any of these engagements without doing a good amount of damage, even when he has to give up an item or has to relegate himself to those side areas of the map. He almost always finds an opportunity to float ZenAku up against the wall. The Duel LG proves to be supremely powerful, and at this point, we can all agree that this is done and dusted. myztro RAISY will be able to take map 2 and get himself a convincing 2-0 victory for our first series of the day.
Yep, so RAISY will advance ahead to play the winner of Cygib and CNZ. And then down in the lower bracket, ZenAku, loser of match A, will play the loser of Cygib and CNZ. So, you know, those four kind of in a dance with death with each other, where really only one gets to, one in the loser's bracket gets to advance.
I think just looking back at these matches that we've had so far, map 2, Corrupted Heat, definitely I would favor RAISY in terms of the champion matchup as well. Map 1, Ruins, it's closer. I wouldn't really say that either had a definitive advantage there, but I feel like RAISY used his orbs really well, and in a way that ZenAku struggled under it. You had Bull Rush come out several times where RAISY just orbed through his opponent, dealing damage in the process, appearing behind ZenAku, and then, yeah, you're kind of screwed when you're scared of her. You use your ability, and at that point, you're just a hulking big target that kind of gets himself stuck against the wall. And RAISY made really good use of that. Now, the first map was a bit of a back and forth, right? It was 1-1, then it was 2-2, and then RAISY finally got himself a lead. ZenAku started closing it a bit more towards the end, but then the defensive play came out, and RAISY got himself the victory. But on this map, map 2 has been pretty much one-sided for a majority of this game. There's a few bursts of brilliance to be seen. ZenAku's in some really good pushes, but overall, RAISY just had a lock on this from start to finish, wasn't really threatened at any point, and that's himself a very well-deserved victory, being our first player to move up to the winner's semi-final.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's super wonderful play from RAISY. I really like, I want to take just an extra second to talk about, especially on Sarnath, how hard committed RAISY was to almost always, you know, doing a super good job of making sure he knew when Scalebear's, you know, charge would be up and having his orb for that. He played that super well. He was super careful about that all of the time.